On page 31,
Yeah.
in the gray, way at the top, by that ladder.
High school,
I can.
I can evaluate and possible square roots and cubes.
Okay, so first standard on page 31, if you're looking at this, that very first standard, please write that down. That's what we're going to be testing you on, right? I can evaluate and approximate square roots and cube roots. Square roots and cube roots. Now, your test is Wednesday of this week, on the 19th. There are going to be two forms of the test. There will be a non-calculator part, just like our last quiz. That non-calculator part will have 17 questions. The calculator part will have 4 questions. Of those 17 questions on the non-calculator, so no calculator, that will be 34 points. So it's almost like each one is 2 points, although some will be more. On the calculator part, that is going to be worth 26 points for a total of 60 points. When I put your grade in the Power School, I will be putting it in out of 100%. Okay? Is it going to be a problem for you guys back here?
No.
Okay, so please make sure you write that down. What do I mean for this first part? There are going to be 13 questions of this first part of approximating and finding the square root. 12 of those questions, if I'm looking at those, 12 of those questions are going to look something like this. Tell me the square root and I'll have a number under here. Like of 36, of 64, of 100, of 121, right? Square root of 400. Some of them are going to be cube roots, and I'm going to ask you, tell me the cube root of this. I'm going to say, what number to the second power, 7 to the second equals, and you'd put down 49, right? So I'm going to be filling those in, or something to the third power, okay? So 12 of those 13 questions are going to be of this form. One question is going to be where you actually have to approximate. What do I mean with approximate the square root? That's the 2 number lines. You will have 4 of them to practice in tonight's homework on that 13 worksheet, so that you're drawing the 2 number lines and doing those. So those of you, if you struggle, all of this part is going to be on the non-calculator. So what we'll do in class on Wednesday when you come in, you'll be given the non-calculator part first. You'll just do that. You'll turn it in. When you turn that part in, then you'll pick up the second part, and then you'll have your calculator. Okay? So,
I can approximate the cube roots of non-perfect cubes with I can approximate the square roots of non-perfect squares.
So when we are taking a look, this was from page 31. This was the main standard. And then the 8th grade learning targets are what you are focusing on to be able to do. Okay? As you look at that, Evan, would you please read that next standard, that NS1 that's kind of in the gray on page 31, that shaded part?
I can explain why the sum.
Well, I can go way to the top. I can classify. You see the standard?
Yeah, I can classify all types of numbers based on their decimal expansions.
So I can classify, that's what we want to write down, all types of numbers. And again, this will be on the non-calculator. This is what we did in that first big quiz, based on their decimal expansion. Meaning if it's repeating or terminating, we know it is rational, right? You are going to be asked when you are looking at this. So if I'm looking at this part of your test, I am going to see 4 questions. 2 of those questions are going to be, you're given a word bank, and I'm going to ask you to explain rational and irrational, okay? So looking at those Quizlets that we were doing, I would really recommend that more rational and irrational if you're struggling with words, but I'm going to give you a word bank when you take a look at that. And then the other questions that you are going to see, I'm going to say, okay, tell me, is the number, I'll give you a number, and you're going to tell me, is it rational or irrational, and explain. And then the last one is going to be where you have to approximate with the 2 number lines. So this is where you're going to find like the square root of a number, and you're going to draw your 2 number lines and show me that work. Some of you did a great job with that on your last quiz. Some of you were struggling with those, okay? So make sure, again, in your homework, you're going to see at least 3 or 4 like this when you are taking a look at those to be able to complete it. And actually, this one, no, I'm wrong. When you do that square root, I'm going to ask you to complete a sentence. And the sentence will be something like this. I'm going to say, give me a number under here that would make this rational, right? So you would give me square root of kind of a number. Yeah. Square root of, thank you. Square root, oh, would that be rational? Square root of 20? That would be irrational. 25. So you can give me square root of 25. So you're going to be asked is, give me a number that will make this statement true, rational, or irrational, right? So we're way back on page 30 as you are taking a look in your, it says, I can classify square roots. Yeah. Start there.
I can classify square roots into whether as rational or irrational numbers based on whether or not they are perfect.
Keep going.
I can classify any number as rational or irrational based on its decimal expansion.
One more.
I can convert a repeating decimal into
so that can pretty. So being able to do all of this. All of this will be on the non-calculator. Then we are going to take the calculator part. If you are reading, James, that last standard, G9, would you do that for me? Yep, you. Yep. I can find
the volume of 3-dimensional figures composed of multiple figures.
Oh, we're way at the top.
Oh, I can find the volume of cylinders times.
Has everyone seen where the standard is first? So you're going to see that same standard on the test. So I can find the volume of, you should be writing down cylinders, cones, spheres. 4 questions. How many points total? 26 points. That means of those 4 questions, some are worth, like quite a few points when you are looking at those. If you start with the wrong formula, everything's wrong. The only thing I can maybe give you points for is that you have the right label. But I've got people putting down centimeters squared because they square the radius instead of centimeters cubed. All of our volumes are cubic units, okay? So just being really careful for that. Anyone have any questions?